श्री महाभारत कथा।
श्री महाभारत कथा।
महाभारत कथा। कथा है पुरुषार्थ की, ये स्वार्थ की, परमार्थ की, सारथी जिसके बने श्री कृष्ण भारत पाथ की। शब्द दिग्घोषित हुआ जब सत्य सार्थक सर्वथा। शब्द दिग्घोषित हुआ। यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत, अभ्युत्थानम् अधर्मस्य, तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम्, परित्राणाय साधूनां, विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां, धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय संभवामि युगे युगे।
Then Vyasa began to call to mind Ganesa. And Ganesa, obviator of obstacles, ready to fulfill the desires of his votaries, was no sooner thought of than he repaired to the place where Vyasa was seated. And when he had been saluted and was seated, Vyasa addressed him thus: O guide of the Ganas, be thou the writer of the Bharata, which I have formed in my imagination, and which I am about to repeat. Ganesa, upon hearing this address, thus answered: I will become the writer of thy work, provided my pen do not for a moment cease writing. And Vyasa said unto that divinity, wherever there be anything thou dost not comprehend, cease to continue writing. Ganesa, having signified his assent by repeating the word Aham, proceeded to write, and Vyasa began. By way of diversion, he knit the knots of composition exceeding close, by doing which he dictated this work according to his engagement. I am, continued Sati, acquainted with 8,800 verses, and so is Sukha, and perhaps Sanjaya. But, from the mysteriousness of their meaning, O Muni, no one is able to this day to penetrate those closely knit, difficult slokas. Even the omniscient Ganesa took a moment to consider, while Vyasa, however, continued to compose other verses in great abundance. The wisdom of this work, like unto an instrument of applying collyrium, hath opened the eyes of the inquisitive world, blinded by the darkness of ignorance. As the sun dispelleth the darkness, so doth the Bharata, by its discourses on religion, profit, pleasure, and final release, dispel the ignorance of men. As the full moon by its mild light expandeth the buds of the water lily, so this Purana, by exposing the light of the Sruti, hath expanded the human intellect. By the lamp of history, which destroyeth the darkness of ignorance, the whole mansion of nature is properly and completely illuminated. This work is a tree, of which the chapter of contents is the seed. The divisions called Paloma and Astika are the root. The part called Sambhava is the trunk. The books called Sabha and Aranya are the roosting perches. The books called Virata and Udyoga, the pith. The book named Bhishma, the main branch. The book called Drona, the leaves. the book called Karna, the fair flowers, the book named Salya, their sweet smell, the books entitled Strai and Aishika, the refreshing shade, the book called Santi, the mighty fruit, the book called Aswamindha, the immortal sap, the denominated as Ramavasika, the spot where it groweth, and the book called Masala, is an epitome of the Vedas, and held in great respect by the virtuous Brahmanas. This tree, inexhaustible to mankind as the clouds, shall be as a source of livelihood to all distinguished poets. Sati continued, I will now speak of the undying flowery and fruitful productions of this tree, possessed of pure and pleasant taste, and not to be destroyed even by the immortals. Formerly, the spirited and virtuous Krishna Dwapayana, by the injunctions of Bhishma, the wise son of Ganga and of his own mother, became the father of 3 boys who were like the 3 fires by the 2 wives of Vishitra. Having thus raised up Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vijora, he returned to his recluse abode to prosecute his religious exercise. It was not till after these were born, grown up, and departed on the supreme journey, that the great Rishi Vyasa published the Bharata in this region of mankind. When being solicited by Shanamajaya and thousands of Brahmanas, he instructed his disciple Vaisampayana, who was seated near him. And he, sitting together with the Sadasiyas, recited the Bharata during the intervals of the ceremonies of the sacrifice, being repeatedly urged to proceed. Vyasa hath fully represented the greatness of the house of Kuru, the virtuous principles of Gandhari, the wisdom of Vijora, and the constancy of Kunti. The noble Rishi hath also described the divinity of Vasudeva, the rectitude of the sons of Pandu, and the evil practices of the sons and partisans of Dhritarashtra. Vyasa executed the compilation of the Bharata, exclusive of the episodes originally, in 24,000 verses, and so much only is called by the learned as the Bharata. Afterwards, he composed an epitome in 150 verses, consisting of the introduction with the chapter of contents. This he first taught to his son Sukha, and afterwards he gave it to others of his disciples who were possessed of the same qualifications. After that he executed another compilation, consisting of 600,000 verses. Of those, 300,000 are known in the world of the Devas, 1,500,000 in the world of the Pitris, 1,400,000 among the Gandharvas, and 100,000 in the regions of mankind. Narada recited them to the Devala to the Pitris, and Sukha published them to the Gandharvas, Yakshas, and Rakshasas. And in this world they were recited by Vaisampayana, one of the disciples of Vyasa, a man of just principles, and the first among all those acquainted with the Vedas. Now, know that I, Sati, have also repeated 100,000 verses. Yudhishthira is a vast tree, formed of religion and virtue. Arjuna is its trunk, Bhimasena, its branches. The 2 sons of Madri are its full-grown fruit and flowers, and its roots are Krishna, Brahma, and the Brahmanas. Pandu, after having subdued many countries by his wisdom and prowess, took up his abode with the Manas in a certain forest as a sportsman, where he brought upon himself a very severe misfortune for having killed a stag coupling with its mate, which served as a warning for the conduct of the princes of his house as long as they lived. I know. Their mothers, in order that the ordinances of the law might be fulfilled, admitted as substitutes to their embraces the gods Dharma, Vayu, Sakra, and the divinities, the twin, as winds. And when their offspring grew up, under the care of their two mothers, in the society of ascetics, in the midst of sacred groves, and holy recluse abodes of religious men, they were conducted by rishis into the presence of Dhritarashtra and his sons, following as students in the habit of brahmacharis, having their hair tied in knots on their heads. "These are pupils," said they, "are as your sons, your brothers, and your friends. They are Pandavas." Saying this, the Munis disappeared. When the Kauravas saw them introduced as the sons of Pandu, the distinguished class of citizens shouted exceedingly for joy. Some, however, said they were not the sons of Pandu. Others said they were, while a few asked how they could be his offspring, seeing he had been so long dead. Still, on all sides, voices were heard crying, "They are on all accounts welcome. Through divine providence we behold the family of Pandu. Let their welcome be proclaimed." As these acclamations ceased, the plaudits of invisible spirits, causing every point of the heavens to resound, were tremendous. There were showers of sweet-scented flowers, and the sound of shells and kettle drums. Such were the wonders that happened on the arrival of the young princes. The joyful noise of all the citizens, in expression of their satisfaction on the occasion, was so great that it reached the very heavens in magnifying plaudits. Having studied the whole of the Vedas and sundry other Shastras, the Pandavas resided there, respected by all, and without apprehension from anyone. The principal men were pleased with the purity of Yudhishthira, the courage of Arjuna, the submissive attention of Kunti to her superiors, and the humility of the twins, Nakula and Sahadeva, and all the people rejoiced in their heroic virtue.